On Point with Craig's Investment Partners.
The information provided here is general in nature. It's not financial advice. It doesn't take into account your financial situation, objectives, goals, or risk tolerance. All investments are subject to risks and none are guaranteed. So before you make any investment decisions, we recommend you contact an investment advisor. For more information about our services in that regard, you can go to our website, which is craigsip.com. Welcome to On Point. I'm Mark Lister, Investment Director at Craig's Investment Partners, and I'll be talking about a range of topics, including economics, portfolio strategy, investor education, and anything else that's happening out there in financial markets. As markets and economists had unanimously expected, the US Federal Reserve cut interest rates again last week. However, the post-announcement press conference was a little different to usual, coming hot on the heels of the US election. Fed Chair Jerome Powell fielded the usual array of economic questions, as well as several about President-elect Donald Trump. He offered nothing in response and got away with it because the election outcome was so fresh at that point. The Fed can't avoid talking about Trump forever, though. It meets again in December, and markets see a good chance of a pause in the easing cycle. Either way, Powell will again be peppered with that same line of political questioning, and he won't get off quite so easily. The two clashed regularly during Trump's first term, even though Trump himself appointed Powell to the position back in 2017. That saw Powell replace Janet Yellen at the helm of the world's biggest and most influential central bank before President Joe Biden then reappointed him for another 4 years. Powell's term expires in 2026, and despite Trump threatening to fire him on several occasions, that's highly unlikely to happen. This means the tension is likely to continue as the central bank tries to navigate an already difficult path. The US inflation rate has been in that 2 or 3% range for 4 months now, which is great progress after it hit 9.1% 2 years ago. That was the highest we'd seen since Ronald Reagan was in office back in 1981. However, the Trump agenda of reducing taxes and implementing tariffs is inflationary. That's one reason why longer-term US interest rates, as well as inflation expectations, have increased recently, while forecasts for Fed cuts have been pared back. Right now, markets see another 50 basis points or so of easing through to the middle of 2025. A month ago, it was more like 100 basis points. So markets are betting that the Fed will go slower from here. The US 10-year Treasury yield rose above 4.4% last week. That was the highest in 4 months, and it's more than 70 basis points above where it was the day after the Fed's 50 basis point rate cut back in September. The 10-year is a really important benchmark for financial markets, and it has a strong relationship with mortgage rates, so it matters for prospective homeowners too. The CRFB, that's the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget in the US, has estimated you could see an increase of up to US $8 trillion in the deficit over the next decade under the Trump plan. That would see debt to GDP rise above 140% by 2035, compared with about 90% today. Having said that, we don't yet know how much of Trump's stated agenda will ultimately be implemented. He also promised to lower inflation when he was on the campaign trail, and that goal is inconsistent with some of these other policies. Then again, inflation averaged about 2% during Trump's first term, and it never even hit 3% per annum, despite a raft of tariffs being introduced. The Democrats can't throw stones either, as President Joe Biden left most of those tariffs in place and even added some more of his own. We'll have to wait for the inauguration of Donald Trump in January, and then we'll see how he approaches the first few months of his new presidency and which of these policies he actually follows through with and to what degree. Until then, a lot of this is just speculation. It's very much up in the air. However, what we do know is that the Fed's tightrope might have got even tighter and its communication challenges even more difficult. We're certainly in for an interesting 12 months, and it might all start with the upcoming Federal Reserve meeting in December. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again soon.
For more insights, visit craigsip.com.